That's hello, you absolute lovelies. Let's talk all about that Peacemaker Season 2 finale, which was episode 8, and what a giant episode it was. I talked all in the last weeks about how this third act was going to be huge and how it would be insane to finish in this last episode. Then it was a double-sized episode, so this full hour I do feel like had a fascinating conclusion. It was also a fascinating mini movie in its own way that covered, multi-dimensional travel, various dimensions. We also got an element of concert. We also got lots of drama and comedy. It was a very big episode. Going to dive into that with full spoilers for that episode. So please have watched the whole season up to this point if you're going to watch this video. Also, if you're pressing buttons, please press that subscription bell. I am rapidly growing this page as fast as I can, covering movies, TV, and especially comics. I love the books themselves. I read 50 to 70 comics a week, and every week I do a live stream breaking down my favorite 9 comics of the week. So hopefully getting you in comic stores and showing you new art in all the different ways. Also breaking down movies and TV outside of comic books, but from the genre content lens. So if any of that sounds good, please subscribe, press like in this video so it grows, and comment below. Let me know what you thought of Peacemaker Season 2 overall, as well as the finale. I'd love to know what you thought of the season. It definitely had some lows, but then when the pacing kind of caught up, I kind of felt for why they made certain choices. The beginning of the season took a little bit for me to find the rhythm of, but by the time we got to the end, especially the twist in episode 6, I really, really liked this season. But let's talk about the finale, then the season overall. The finale is really interesting pace because the last episode, episode 7, felt like it was kind of a cliffhanger conclusion to the season with Peacemaker getting arrested, giving himself up. That felt like it gave a bit of closure to what Frank Grillo was going for as Rick Flag Sr. It felt like it gave a bit of a end to the story we had so far. We had, closed off that dimension with his family. We had kind of gotten rid of the story to that point with Argus and those elements. And so this episode kind of felt like a really big denouement. But if we had ended there, it had that downturn, that Empire Strikes Back ending. It really was a bummer of an ending. But if you look at the actual storylines and pacing, it did kind of conclude all of the things that had been set up. And that made this finale even more interesting because it allowed us to start a bunch of things, but also more firmly tie the bow on a lot of storylines. So it could, in my opinion, have ended there, but I'm glad it didn't. I was a little worried this episode would try to do either too much or it would kind of be a too heavy-handed denouement and it would cause a lot of issues with pacing and everything overall. But I honestly feel like this episode, as its own individual movie, sets us up for a season 3, especially with that last ending, but it also gave us some really interesting moments. I do feel like we needed the boat. After all of this time and all this discussion of the boat, I do feel like that was something necessary to the story, and I really love the beauty of it. It's also very James Gunn, who wrote and directed this episode, to give us 2 full-on concert sequences. 2 different bands, full song almost, full concert experience, but that elicited so much emotion, which is the purpose of all this. You really need to care about these characters. You need that emotional connection in order for this to work. So I loved the slow-mo connectivity, passion, and power between the two of them, both in his mourning that moment and then the celebration of that moment when she accepted how important it was to her, to him. We also got Edda Berry, man, I'm so bad at that name. We also got the incredible closure of the relationship from season 1, and they had split up, they were on a break, and then we found throughout the season, through very few scenes, but we found they were on a bit more than a break, and I liked the closure of basically the thesis of the show of making your own decisions as reflected in those 2 different scenes. We had the scene between the 2 of them breaking up, deciding to end the relationship, deciding that basically one of them was always going to be broken by them staying together. Either her choosing to do spy work and continue in the field and not open the pet store was going to hurt her partner, or vice versa. If she had chosen to get into this domesticated life and do this, she would be bored and that would break them in another way. So what a beautiful scene. And also it's about making a choice. We then follow that scene with a few scenes in between, but then the next big scene with Peacemaker making the choice is what separates him from this curse. It's not that everyone around him dies. It's that when he doesn't listen to his instincts, when he doesn't listen to himself, he's a good person. But when he doesn't stand up for himself, and when he doesn't do the right thing to him, these things have occurred in the past. So I thought that was really interesting. 1-2 punch of emotion. Really great acting this episode. I'd heard how good Cena was this season. it absolutely came to play in every episode, but especially this last episode. The joy of the boat, the brokenness of wanting to stay in prison and the isolation, the pure sadness of what you get when you think you're broken and push everyone away, the aggression trying to push everyone away, and then the elation of that, dancing and Harcourt, choosing him, and then that peace and tranquility of that friendship coming back together. Speaking of that, I loved the walkout moment. Like James Gunn does that it's kind of like a trademark at this point. It's in a lot of comic book media. It's in a lot of media in general, but in a lot of comic books, you've got that like slow-mo walkout team moment. And it's iconic in Guardians, iconic in the Suicide Squad. Here we've got this ragtag group, and it's grown from just the 11th Street Kids. It's added a few members of Argus. It's added, Judo Master. And then we see that it's Checkmate. There are two big comic moments in this episode. One is Checkmate, which is a Task Force X spinoff from the comic books. It's an anti-hero counter group, and it is kind of a spinoff of Task Force X, which, as is this team. After the Suicide Squad, we kind of get a spinoff with this team from that, and then it's spinning off from that. We've got Checkmate, which is a much bigger thing. Very curious how that's going to come into play, especially with all the extra dimensional stuff. And the other huge comic moment, which I'm fascinated by, the first dimension we find open with that like glass doorknob, that is Funland. And Funland is usually tied pretty directly to Shazam. So this does open the door for Shazam, amongst many other things in the future. This literally opens the door to a lot of, other dimensional characters and a lot of infinite possibility. The payoff that I was hoping for that we didn't end up getting was Mr. Mxyzptlk. I could see them saving that for Superman, but also they paved the door. They paved the road, opened the door for that character, especially with those extra dimensional imps, all the imps mentioned through the season. The one thing they shot, in the episode with the dad. So lots of opportunity there, but it was interesting to see Funland because Funland is pretty directly correlated to Shazam, to the Wizard in Shazam, to, the Batson aura and era. Very curious if Funland ever comes to play, and that was very specific. So between Checkmate and Funland, a lot of Easter eggs, but also seeds planted for the future. Again, loved seeing the concert. I really liked that the second concert was the opening music. It was really beautiful synchronicity to see the singers of that song, see the band actually getting performed, but also it felt like that joy we've had. I mean, that song gets stuck in my head all the time, so now that that song's stuck in your head, it's cool to see that in the concert and to see that come together in this way, so I thought that was rad. Also really enjoy that we got the pure elation of him to bring us to a high right before the inevitability of what salvation's going to be. Now, I try not to get too political, but art is political and comic books are political by nature. It's about the underdog. It's about speaking for the oppressed. It's about speaking up. And I love that this whole season was leading to one of the more topical stories of today, like building prisons against people's will and putting them in a place they can't escape and using government funds and basically taking away people's freedom of choice as a profit measure. And I think that's an important story to tell. I think Harcourt's arc of not needing that government pat on the back and seeing that just because that's the only job she can get doesn't mean it's worth her life and her morals and her ethics, and seeing the people that left Checkmate, seeing Bordeaux join, seeing, Tim Meadows' character. It is a very topical story, which is really awful that, this is a world we live in, not just a multidimensional comic world, but, it is something to put in pop culture in order to express rage about it, show who the villains are, and navigate what that means, and to other people to label them metahumans, to, the slippery slope of, oh, you're a metahuman, and not too long until court martials and cease and desists in court, and then not having a trial at all, and just kidnapping people off the street and throwing them in prison. It is an interesting commentary, and then to, throw Peacemaker in there at the end gives us our cliffhanger for the second season. After all that joy, after Checkmate, after bringing them all back together, this was, like I said, a big beefy episode, but that obviously a huge moment, salvation as a concept in this extra dimensional prison, metahumans being trapped, all of that, starting the DCU off very strong with a lot of metahuman commentary and a lot of othering and a lot of villainy. The team up with Lex Luthor, all of these things tying back to Rick Flag, our big antagonist of the season. Really, really dug it. So yeah, I like this season quite a bit overall. Looking back at the season, definitely like I liked the beginning of the season. I did, but I started loving it a little past episode 4, and then the twist came and I was enthralled, and then I really loved the ending. So this season only got better for me. I think Vigilante worked for me better this season. He was a lot of fun in this episode. I really liked the use of the blood money. I like setting up, Chekhov's gun with millions of dollars earlier in the season was fun. Vigilante, just in general, the jokes landed for me a little bit more. I think overall, season 1, because of the novelty and boldness, I liked a little bit more comedically. I think I liked season 2 a little bit more dramatically. I think I liked the story and what it had to say, and the acting and the passion. And just the general like variation of emotion. There's a lot of great acting in season 1. I'm not denying any of that. I'm just saying this season really hit me in the feels a lot and got really emotional, and especially with Cena's work, really incredible stuff, and what Harcourt was going through, and I don't know, just the emotions really hit me this season. So really liked a lot of that. I'd love to know what you think in the comments below. Did this season hit you more or differently? Were you surprised by any things? Would love to know. So let me know in the comments below. Also, please like this video. Press subscribe while you're pressing buttons. If you made it to the end of this video, you like what I had to say, at least some. So please press that subscription bell. That's going to do it for Peacemaker Season 2. You lovelies. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Got new merch in the store. Check out Hello You Lovelies amongst other things. This is my own merch, which feels awesome to say and do. So please, enjoy some merch, enjoy some videos. Check out this page, movies, TV, and all sorts of stuff. We'll be back very soon with another show and even more movie and TV reviews, as well as always lots and lots of comic stuff. Also check out my show over at DC Studios Showcase. It's on HBO as well as HBO's YouTube. I got to talk Peacemaker all season, and that was a blast with Frankie and Tyler. So check it out officially over on HBO. All right, y'all. I'll see you soon. Bye. Do good. Do good things. Also that message. Do good. Make your own decisions and do good. Don't just follow orders, and also listen to your truth and like find your own underdog group of 11th Street kids, you lovelies. All right, I'll see you soon.